This is Meri at the Meri Atelier, and this should be an unlisted video, an unlisted live stream, I'm hoping. I guess I'll find out. I cleaned up sorting boxes, studio reorg, and it never fails. I always find a journal or something that inspires me that I want to work in. And in this case, it's my big, huge drawing, 600-page drawing book that I received as Happy Mail from Renee Suzanne. Thank you, Renee. I do enjoy it. I am going to work in this. I'm going to do a sketch, but let me share my link with myself so I can see what's going on. Let me get out here where I share it to. It should come up into my email. It says I'm live, so let me put this phone up on the stand and get set up. So I'm going to draw. As one reason why I made it an unlisted video is because, well, I know some of you like to watch me draw and others don't. It does not hurt my feelings if you want to zip through the, let's see if I got as far out as I can go as far as zooming out. So yeah, it never fails. It never fails that when I get to cleaning here, I always run across something that will be fun to do. And let me skip the ad here. And I just have one person in here, so I think that I am unlisted. Let me set my own quality up a little. You may not be able to see the entire book. I will be flipping it. Slanting. Well, I guess you can. I might have to take some things off my desk as I'm working here. We'll see how this opens up and what page I work on. So let me set up the quality on my phone to 1080. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of do a flip through of what I've been doing in this book, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the book over just a little so that I can open it up. And yeah, I might have to, hopefully I can scoosh these over without knocking them completely off of the desk here. There. Now let's see, what are you seeing? Might have to move them just a little bit more. I don't want to knock them off. I can very easily do that. Let me hold on to these things. I have a bunch of odds and ends that I go to while I'm working over here. My desk is just not big enough. It's a little school desk. And I usually put one of these Play-Doh containers over here. It's just the right height to hold this book. Now, let's see how much of this you can see. Penelope, I'm going to move you over a little too. She says, be careful, Meri. I don't want to fall. Okay. I knocked something off, but it'll be easy enough to pick that up. So I sketch in this book, and my first sketch was this one done in November 22nd of 2022. Was a young lady, and here's the same young lady. I was just playing, and this is probably, I did this little fellow over here first, and then I worked on him a little bit more. I tend to do that when I'm sketching. I haven't sketched faces in a long time, so this will be very good practice for me. This one's fun to do, and yeah, and I've got an eye here. Fourth Art Saturday, it says, you cannot depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of sync. And that's a quote by Mark Twain. So I do different things that inspire me. The only animal I have in here is the squirrel, portrait of the squirrel. And I sketched that because I can see the trees. And in the photo that I was looking at, I could see the forest in his eye. I could see his surroundings, the silhouette. And so I had to sketch that. And this lady was fun to sketch, but she's, you know, I think I'm going to have to move Penelope and these things, or I'm going to knock them clear off my desk. Say hello, Penelope. Hello. And I have what I call my little jewel box here. And I'll just move these things temporarily off my desk. I have some things that I keep. I'll just put them down below for now. And I just feel like once I get working, I should have set this up ahead of time. Well, I did mostly, but here is Derwin. He's the little dragon that Becky at Aunt Beck's Creation sent to me. And I have some erasers here, a rabbit and a blank one. I'm going to carve some owls. Well, no, I think I'll keep them with this. Here's my owl stamp and some tape. And so let's just pull these little odd and end things off, and I'll put them back when I'm done here. You may see me doing more of this type of thing in the next week or two, or continually. I usually don't do long, unlisted streams anymore, because this is you guys. Because YouTube process them really slow. It takes a good couple days for them to process. But I'm doing this on Saturday night. This may not show up until, Monday or Monday evening. I don't know. Or if they're fast on the processing, it may show up in the wee hours of the morning. We'll just see. It depends on YouTube. I'm fine with it. However they wanted to do it. Now, I'm going to move you guys a minute here so I can move this. And I still have some things under here, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to move this book over a little. There we go. That's much better, isn't it? And I'll keep you guys temporarily over to my right-hand side here until it doesn't work for me. Oh. And I think I'm the only person in here. Yeah, so it's an unlisted stream, which is exactly what I want it to be. So I was going through here showing my prior sketches. Yeah, this is Rebecca Lattimore Felton. And she's an interesting lady. If I remember right, she was the first lady president for an afternoon or something. If I remember right. I'm not sure I remember correctly on that. This is Susie Clemens. She's the second child and the oldest daughter of Mark Twain. And this is Clara Longhorn Clemens, and she's a daughter. And I get these, I sketch off of photos that I get at Wiki, and that's what I am going to do tonight. I'm going to sketch off of a wiki photo. And I was just playing here. Not sure who I was sketching. This is Mark Twain, of course. Samuel Clemens. This is Thomas Nast, or my practice of him. Here he is again over here. And now they're not true likenesses, but you know, I have fun doing this. I don't claim to be a portrait artist, but I do like to draw portraiture. This is Martin Luther King and William Allen Roger, who is an American political cartoonist. So I think I did a really good sketch here. And not so bad over there. This is a study of Harriet Beecher Stowe, and here's another one that I did. These two are the same lady. You can see I can sketch the same picture and it comes out entirely different. This is her again. This is Louisa May Alcott. And this is Amos Bronson Alcott, who is the father of Louisa May Alcott. I did this in 2023, February the 1st of 2023. I think I was going to do the Faces Challenge, but I never got very far with that. This is, Ida was born in Harvard, Nebraska. She was hired to work in the hygienic laboratory, what became the National Institute of Health. Harvard, Nebraska is where I'm from. It's a tiny town, less than 1,000. And I could probably do a better sketch of her. This is Grace Bonkers or Banker. She was a World War I switchboard soldier, a hello girl. I got World War I. I'm wondering if that might be World War II. I got World War I, though. This is a study of Robert Frost. Reference photo from Wiki, January 7th of 2004. This is a sketch of an unknown man to me. I got the reference photo off of Wiki, of course. I don't know who, I forgot who it was. Who does he look like to you? This is Dr. Seuss. You miss the best things if your eyes are shut, Dr. Seuss says. Yeah. And here's another study of him over here. And this is a Chief Sitting Bull, a reference photo from Wiki. February 9th of 2004. I think I did a pretty good job on him. These are some sketches of Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove, the first female self-made millionaire. And I did some studies over here, sketch studies. And that, no, I got a blank page in here. This one is not good. But I leave it in there to remind me that not everything you do is going to turn out beautiful. And probably what I'll do tonight, too, is if I haven't sketched for a while, I've got to get the feel back. This is a sketch of Sean Connery. Yeah. Oh, and we know who this is, don't we? Did I write down? This is Elvis Presley, a sketch. And I think that's my last one. So what I'm going to do tonight, and it is night, it's 8:12. And let me sign in to here. I have the photo already downloaded. I'll go to my... I'm going to sketch, because he's so much in the news now, I'm going to sketch Charlie Kirk. This photo I got off of Wiki, and I will put the link to this photo in the description box below, because it's in the public domain, and it said you could remix it or use it for, you know, art purposes, but they ask you to attribute with a link to it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to set this over here. Now, you're looking top down. I'm looking this way on my page. I am going to turn it a bit if I can. Let's see, I've got some items up here that, all right. And I probably need to, I think I chose him because he's so much in the news. Charlie Kirk is so much in the news now. And I admire his stance on talking. If we quit talking to each other, you know, and I was watching a YouTube where he explains that. If we quit talking to each other, like if you're married and you quit talking to your spouse, you know, you're headed for not a very good marriage. And if you quit talking to people just because you disagree with them, or write them out of your life, or even badmouth them behind their back, all of that stuff. And of course, this is, today is September the 13th, I believe. September the 13th, and he was assassinated. He was at a public event in Utah. He is known for his organization Turning Point, to where he goes to college campuses and holds debates, chats with college students. And he was at a college or university in Utah, and some young man up on the roof took a shot at him and shot him in the neck, and it ended his earthly life. He was a devout Christian, so as Christians we believe that he's really not dead. His body is dead, but his soul is eternally with the Lord. So that's our belief, and I'm sure that was his belief. It is sad because he left behind a beautiful young wife and 2 wonderful young children. And of course, they'll be well taken care of, but it's not like having your dad. It's not like having your dad. So, I think that he is going to be, not only his organization was called Turning Point, I think his death and the way that he was assassinated is going to be a turning point, for a political turning point here in the United States at least. There will always be violence. There will always be people that will turn to violence. There will be more assassinations. But more and more people are realizing that violence is not the answer. Killing somebody because they have a different point of view than you do is not the answer. And even verbally killing them. If somebody does not believe the way you do, let them have their point of view. You're not going to change it unless they listen to you. And you know if somebody's listening to you. You know if you're having a good discourse with somebody. But if you're not having a good discourse with somebody, it's not appropriate to talk about them behind their back. And I've seen good Christian people almost verbally assassinate somebody they disagree with. And it's not right on either side of the aisle, on any side of the aisle. And I think what I'm talking about, turning point, I think what happened this past week with Charlie Kirk has awakened a nerve in American politics that this is not the answer. You're free to disagree, you're free to discuss, maybe even get a little frustrated in your discussing, but to take a gun and shoot someone because they have a different point of view than you do is not appropriate. And I'm amazed at how many people on the other side of the aisle, Charlie Kirk was a Republican, But so many of the Democrats say this is not appropriate. I was watching Bernie, I can't remember his last name, but he is known for being very much on the other side of the aisle. He's not a Republican conservative. And he even spoke out about this, saying political violence is not the answer. And I don't agree with much of what he says, but I agreed with that. So it takes listening. You have to listen. A person who disagrees with you is not your enemy. And I think I'm picking that up from YouTube videos that I've watched from Charlie Kirk. And I'll bet you that Charlie is sitting up there in heaven forgiving that young man. I just, in my heart, I know he has. He is living his best life up there in heaven. Charlie is living his best life up there in heaven now. And you don't carry hatred to heaven with you. You do not carry unforgiveness with you. And I just, in my heart, I know that Charlie Kirk has forgiven this young man. So with all that said, that is why I've decided to include him and draw him tonight. So I am going to, now this is going to be a long video. And if you're watching this, I'm going to quit talking about Charlie Kirk and my opinions and all of that, and I'm going to get sketching. And you can watch for a while if you want to scrub through the video, you know, maybe a half an hour later or an hour later. I'll probably be a couple hours on this. It generally goes that long for me. And I may get, you know, I may not like what's happening on my page. I may do a study over here. I may flip the page and try again. You are more than welcome to move that little slider time bar on the time bar there to wherever, and I will show the results at the end. So I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me, and let me get started. This is an unlisted live, so I'm not going to play music in the background. I probably could go to YouTube and play I don't know if I do, but you know, they only last a few minutes. And I've already turned myself off here. Let me sign back. That's one reason I do not care for password protection on your phone. It's very easy to have to sign in again. So I probably will, now I gotta fix this. I may chat a little while I'm sketching here. Yeah. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is take my phone that I'm watching myself on here and set it down and go back into my video here. And I have to get it all set up because I got out of it. And then I'm going to put this stand over here and set him up. And I think you can still see the sketch. Now I sketch in ink. I do have a pencil here, but every time I use a pencil, I tend to erase. I tend to try to be too perfect. And no, I want, you know, I've had a lot of advice on how to sketch a face, and Annie V has sent me this little measuring tool, but I don't like to use tools and grids and all of that. To me, I want to train my hand to do what my eye is seeing. And it may not be perfect, but the more you practice, and I'm probably out of practice because I haven't sketched in here for over a year, I think. What was my last sketch over here? My last sketch was Elvis in February. Oh, it was this year. It was February of 2025. So it's been several months since I've sketched in this big book. It was Elvis. So I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to, I like to talk. I like to talk through what I'm seeing on here. It helps me think about it as I'm sketching. So this is Charlie Kirk, and let's, I also like to enlarge the photo. We'll leave it right there. Right there. He's got a pretty high forehead, and he's got a receding hairline up here. I wouldn't be surprised if he would have lived, if he would have lost this hair and, you know, as he aged to, in his 80s, been a bald guy, because see how his hairline is receding in there? I'm just saying. And he's got very dark eyes. On this photo, on his eyes, even when you enlarge it, this eye is dark. It looks like he's tired here. He's got some shadow going on. This was taken at a event, I believe, in February. I could go to the link and read all about it, but he looks tired. It looks like he's been up all night. Maybe he traveled. He's probably done some research behind the scenes. He's got a shadow on his cheek and, you know, going up this way, and he's got a very definite shadow underneath of his chin. But he is looking off over this way. The light is coming from this direction, and you see some highlight up in here. You see highlight around his. Looks like he has fairly high cheekbones. And you see some shadowing on this side of the face, just a little faint shadow. You do not, well, you only see just a little bit, teeny bit of his ear right there. I don't know if I'll put that in, but you see this ear over here very vividly. Might be a nice study of an ear. His eyes, to me, seem closer together. But maybe that's the way he's holding his head, because he's looking this way. He's kind of, his head is turned at, I would say maybe a 10 or 20 degree angle. And he's looking off, well, see, his eyes are in the corner of his eyeballs are in the corner of his eyes. So he's looking, his gaze is directed this way, almost directed to maybe somebody off this way, like he's trying to see somebody over here. Maybe it's one of his associates or something. The noses are going to be very interesting studies for me, but look at this line coming down there, and then there's this shadow in here. Now I am going to sketch with these gel pens. And this one happens to be a 1.0, which is the bold. I also have here, well, I have an R2 pen. Now these pens, I haven't tried this one yet, but if you sketch on a vellum type paper, they are very water soluble, but this is not a vellum paper, so I'm not sure how the ink will react on that to get tonal values. I might go over and grab my watercolor. This is a Sharpie pen. I haven't tried this pen. The last one I tried here, it was dried out. I have a Tombow marker, which is water soluble, but it makes a dark mark. So I would probably use that down here on his. When you first put your marks in there, they're very dark and you can gradiate them out. But as I was saying, his eyes seem very close together. Now the one thing I did learn from Annie V that I'm very conscious of when I sketch and draw, if you measure the length of the eye and the length of this eye, and I always, when I move my paper around a lot here. Let's go down to where I can't go down any. Whoops, I can go down more. Well, and yeah, it's being, let's see, where's my pencil? I just want to mark the length of his eye here if I can. It's right. Oops, I got out of it. Don't get out of it, Meri, because I want to talk about it. Because it's something that Annie V taught me. So I think I got the mark there. The length of his eye is from the edge to here. And that should be the length of the other eye. And then the distance between the two eyes is the same length. And that has helped me a lot in drawing. Let me go back up. Of course, now, because I've expanded it, the length of the eye is larger than that, but I can't put my paper on it and hold it still. But also, I'm very conscious of how the eyebrows meet the ear. Now, his eyebrow comes on here. This eyebrow comes above the ear, right there, and it's because he has his face turned. So I would say in this sketch, it's probably about 3/4 of an inch in this photo as I have it enlarged here. About 3/4 of an inch above this ear. So it's a little high. And then he's got as you look at his eyebrows, they're very dark in here. They get lighter there. He's got some crinkles in there. But this eyebrow kind of comes up a little bit higher. If you could put your pencil, let's set this relatively straight. Put that pencil there, and you can see it's just a little bit higher. And I would zoom in to show you that if you don't see it, but I'm not on my red dot over here. Let me get on my red dot. There we go. I don't want to zoom in because then I lose my area of my book here. His nose is, well, he's got the darkness around his eyes. Both of his eyeballs are off to the corner. You see the white in there, you see the white in there. And something that I don't see a lot, that I don't execute a lot, and I need to work on, is getting this space of his eyelid in there, right above his eye, where his eyelashes come. A lot of times I miss this space here and start with the darkness up in there. And so I need to work on that. This eye is much darker. Like I said, it looks like he's tired here. Looks like he's been up all night reading, or maybe traveling. Who knows? And noses are something I very much need to work on. I'm getting better at them, but I never get the volume in there. So it's got highlighted up in here, but it's got a little bit of shading in there. Of course, shading in there. Got some highlight up in here. A lot of shading up in here. And then it goes into his cheekbone is highlighted here. And actually, if you look at his face, this side of his face is more narrow than this side. Look how wide from his ear to the nose is very wide. From the point here of his ear to the nose is wide, much wider, probably twice as wide as from here to here. And that's because he's got his head turned where you see more of this side of his face. So I'm going to try to, I'm talking through this not for your benefit, well, for your benefit, but more for my benefit, because if I speak these things and look at the photos before I start sketching, I think about those things. I try to think about them. So let me get his full figure there, and I'm going to put it back up here on the stand, if I can, and start sketching. And I like to sketch with the pen. I'm using, this is the medium point. It is not as water soluble as, this is a 0.07. This other one is a 0.10. And it is generally more water soluble. And I'm seeing the numbers right up here at the tip. So I'm going to start with this. And the other thing I like to do is kind of get an idea of his head. If I sketch from here down to here, his head, now I could, in this photo, his torso almost takes up half of this photo. And his head takes up maybe a fourth, maybe 5/8, and then we got a little bit of red going on up there. I don't know if I want that torso, so much of that, but I'm going to stay true to the photo. So in my imagination here, when I kind of do this on my page, I go, okay, almost half of my page is here. Maybe down just a little bit more. So his jacket would be ending right in there. And of course on this side, the end of his jacket, if I make this point, the top part of his collar of his jacket, the other point is lower. So I'm going to come down maybe to there. I don't know, it'll depend when I sketch, but this is definitely lower. And his neck comes in here, so his head, his neck would probably end right here, would probably end right in here. So if I kind of come down, where did I put that other mark? That isn't it. Where did I put it? In here? If I come down this way, just put a real light line, and from here, now I'm not going to, because this coat comes clear down like that, and his other coat, if I start it here, it does not, he's got this white shirt in here. So I'm going to start it right there and kind of come down this way. And of course, it slants down. And I'm just putting in very light maybe mark. A maybe mark, just to kind of get a sense of how I'm going to sketch him on here. Now, on here, where his coat comes up to this point, his chin, if you look at it, his chin is just about at that same point. So if I put his chin in, this is another maybe mark. I would be doing this in pencil probably, but I don't like to do pencil because I tend to erase a lot when I do it in pencil, and I don't want to get into that habit. If I make a mistake, it's a mistake. So his chin comes down this way, but it's a prominent chin shadow-wise, but it's not a very, I'm not going to draw a line here. It also comes down, so I said I'm going to put it right here where this other collar comes right in here. And the white collar kind of comes up. We're going to kind of put the maybe marks in for the white collar. So this would come more like that. And I'll get rid of this line. And the collar kind of goes up and curves around. And it's very slender. And it kind of folds over. And then this one, I'm sketching his shirt right now, and I don't know if you can see very well what I'm doing because I'm doing it really light. I'm kind of getting a sense of the composition of the page. So the other collar is tucked in, and it comes around like this, and it meets that his coat, which comes down, and you don't see as much in here on the photo. Well, you do. Let me zoom out. You do. So let's say this collar, let me zoom back in. this collar, you see it come out this way, and at a, you know, the traditional collar, something like this, and then it comes down, way down this way. And then the jacket continues on this way. So now I've got his shoulders in there. He's got it's sort of a business plaid, a blue, and I want to say it's plaid. It's kind of a blue, light green plaid jacket, suit coat. It's makes him look very professional, but very relaxed because his shirt is unbuttoned. And let's see, this curves down, and then it kind of comes, I'm trying to understand the shirt here. I don't think I have it, but, and then there's a button right in here, a white button. And we'll just put a little circle there for now. And in here, I can kind of see where that shirt trails on down. And it kind of has a, there's some shadow going on in here. Some light shadow. Now, I've got a sense of his torso area, which takes up, I'm not sure, are you guys seeing this? Let me flip my camera. You're kind of seeing it here. My lines are very, very light, but you can see where I put my pen down. Where did I put it here? You can see where I have this point here is about halfway. It's a little bit more than halfway, which is okay, up the page. I might be a tad bit too high. Then I'm going to set it back down and get back into it here. And as I apply more sketchiness to this page, you'll see it pop out a little bit more. All right. So now I'm ready to kind of work on the head and the shape of the head, and I'm hoping I hope I've studied this enough that I can get his head in here. I think I can. And I am not real good with tilted heads, even at a slight angle. I tend to want to sketch them face on, and I'm working on that. That's something in my sketching that I need to work on. So he's got a definite neckline here that comes down this way. He's got sort of a, you can kind of see an Adam's apple in here. Let me put this up here and zoom in. You can see an Adam's apple right in there. So because his head is tilted, it looks over like it's over to the right hand side, and you see more neck area in here. So do I have that? Yeah, I have it over to the right hand side. So the Adam's apple kind of falls right in here, and I'm just going to kind of put in some test marks there for it. And then he's got a lot of shading underneath of his chin, which defines the chin. Now I'm going to put a light line, but the thing of it is, a person's face is not a line. A person's face is defined by, in real life, is defined by the color behind it, the shadow, the shading, and I try not to put lines, or if I put a line, I could use my pencil at this point because I could erase it. I think I'm going to. As much as I say I don't like to, because I don't like to erase a lot. I like my marks to be what I'm seeing, and if I goof, I goof. But in this point, I think I want to. Now see, I have, as I was doing this, I've already made a mistake because I've got his face coming down almost to his Adam's apple. I don't have enough space in here. So I am going to erase, and I'm going to move it up just a little. just a little, because this Adam's apple kind of comes right in here. And I can erase all that too. And then his chin, now I see I don't have enough space. His face is not high enough. Because here's my shirt. He's got some space up here. He's got some space up here. And so his chin should be right up in here. And this should be coming more like this. Yeah, there's a lot. And this goes, because I have his neck area coming here, this side of his face almost meets the neckline. So, and it is very wide. All right, we're going to leave it like that for a minute. I don't know if I want that there. I think I want it over just a little. And like that, maybe. Now, am I going to have enough room up here? I don't know. This is one thing that I run into when I do this. As much as I tried to make this half, I don't know, I might have to lower this just a little to get his face on there. Okay, his ear, we're going to put his ear, we're just going to put in a light line for his ear. And I've changed to my pencil for this part because I'm still studying. And then his head up here, see, I think I'm not going to have enough room up here. His head is going to come way up there. And this whole thing could be smaller. I think I have his suit coat entirely for his head. And I've already sketched this, but what I like about doing the suit coat is I can always, this is dark. This can always be darkened out. So I am going to make this a little bit smaller in here. Because even though he's got a broad shoulder here, and his head is smaller, I feel like this should be just a little bit smaller. And I'll be playing with that as I go. It's very, very hard to, get this to fit that. You know what I mean? Okay, so I've got the ear coming up to here. And as I said, his eye is about an inch above his ear. So let's say his ear is there. So let's kind of go up above an inch for his eye. And I said that his face on this side is much smaller than the face on this side. So there's a lot of area in here because he's looking this way. His eyebrow comes here, and I'm just going to put a little line there for now, and I'll define it better later. And now this eye, and here again I might have to change my ear, which is why I did it in pencil. If you look at his eye, here, here's the tip of his ear. His eye is still above the tip of his ear. And the eyebrow, it comes about on here about an inch, maybe, and even an inch and a half, the top of the eyebrow. I'm just guessing. But the bottom of his eye is still above the ear. And if I would have continued here with the eye, it would have been below the ear. So those little things make a difference while you're sketching. And it's just something that, I'm not a pro at doing this, but I try to be aware of it. Let's just put in an eye here. Just kind of and I'll go back and refine it. So that means his ear has to start down here, because here's the bottom of the eye and here's the top of the ear, and I had it up above. So let's kind of put the ear back in here. Something like that. But I do think I got this area here, a wide area with... All right, so now we're going to start with the hair. Kind of comes up this way, kind of goes this way, up above the eyebrow. It's way above the eyebrow up here. And it's pretty slender in there. But then he's got this high forehead where his hairline is receding. And then it comes down. The point of his head, and you guys are just seeing it as slant, the point of his hairline here matches where his nose is. So see, it's kind of center right in there. And then we have his high hairline up there, and you can see it kind of forms a heart shape, doesn't it? So let's see if I can do that. Oh, Charlie! He says, I'm glad I'm up here. So here's my eyebrow here. Here's where my nose would be, or his nose would be, right in there. And so that hairline comes down, and it's got kind of a little flat area there. And then this side of the hairline is much higher than this side. It's lower, you can see, just a little, but it's lower enough that, and that's because his head is turned. I'm sure it's not like that in real life. So we're going to make it just a teeny bit lower. And you don't see much hair on this side of the face. And you don't see his ear. So let's see. But I think I need more of a high forehead for him. That's going to be an issue with me, because I don't have... I'm running out of paper. I'm running out of paper. And we'll just go right up to the top with his hair. And this ear needs some work in here. Now I do, when I sketch, I bounce all around. I might be working on the eye and say, oh, the ear needs work. And I'll go work on the ear a little. So let's see if I still have that eye. Says the bottom of it is just a little bit. I could move this ear down just a little bit more. And I'm just kind of sketching it in. And one thing I said early on is, let's get that down here. I tend to forget when I'm sketching the eyelid. I tend to make this all one flat area. And when you do that, you lose the dimension of the eyeball in there, because that eyelid kind of covers the eyeball itself. The whole eye, well, the pupil is in here, but this whole white area is his eye. And if you forget this area, and it's kind of a lighter area in there, you lose the dimension of the eye, and I've done that several times. So let's see if I can define that a little bit more here. And I am sketching with pencil, as much as I said I'm not going to. I generally... And his eyebrow comes down that way. Of course, I'm the only person in here. And I want to remind you that if you're watching this, feel free to, if you're bored, feel free to move on, to not move on, but move the timer forward. That does not bother me. Okay, so I want to make this meet the, and he actually has, I keep putting it down here, he actually has a line there, a line here, and a line here. He looks like he's thinking, and he does look tired to me. So I'm going to put in a little line here. I'm going to put in a darker line over here. But I need the point of his hair moved over just a little here. So it's going to come in there and kind of come up. And I need that high line, high forehead there. And his hair, I've run out of space here, so I'm just getting the very top of his hair up there. So am I happy with this? I don't know. Let's keep going. I haven't sketched in a long time. I have not sketched in a long time, so I'm kind of finding my way here. His head kind of comes down like that and goes up, and kind of, I'm just barely getting his hairline in there. And then the point comes here and here, and then it has this kind of, but you could kind of see this area, but this comes out a little and you just barely see what's going on there. And this eyebrow kind of comes up a little higher and meets at a point and then comes down, and you see some space in here, but not much. And this might be a little long here. It probably comes down more like that. To me, his eyes are very close together. But, okay, if I make this eye this length, then I need to, from this point to this point, and let me get that paper out, and I'll make a mark. And I do this on the eyes more and more because it does help me. So that's how wide his eyes are. Let me do that again. From this point to, I think I didn't have the long edge. Let's do that again. I marked on the paper and not the... From this point to this point. So I need to, see, that just seems like so much. His other eye is starting there, and I have it going way over here. And I have missed all of this space in here, because he's got space. If his eye comes out to there, he's got space. His eye ends there. He's got another area from here to here on his head. So let's just say his eye does end here. So that would mean his head comes out at least to there. And then he's got a little bit of hair coming up this way. So that means that this kind of comes down in. I'm trying to visualize it here. And like that. Now that eyebrow, I still don't have it wide enough in there. It seems very wide to me. But if I measure correctly in here, you know, and put in this eye from here to here, and is it higher or lower? It's just about on the same plane, but it's a little bit higher. So I need to move this up a little. Right here. And this would be lower. I think I need to go a little higher yet. Not much, but if this is the bottom, then I need this to be in here. And just a little bit higher. There. And then I need this space in here. And I'll come back in and refine my eyes. But his eyebrow comes clear out to there and comes down around his eye. And then he's got this. And it does come down. His face does come down like that. And see, I don't have them. I don't quite have these meeting at the point that I want. So I did do this in ink here, but I'm here again. I'm thankful that his jacket is dark, so I can move the position of his jacket. His shirt coat, I mean his collar, his shirt is still white, but I can move this. His face comes down like that. And maybe not so fat in there. So I think just by me talking this out, and I have to remember he's got a eyelid here. And this area in here is dark, and it's all dark in there. And it's dark up in here. And I'll be doing that with my ink pen. His eyeballs are in the corner of his eyes. He's looking off over he's looking off over this way. And then on his nose, I'm going to zoom back in here. His nose, this is all dark up in here. I'm going to do it in pencil first. It's all dark. He's got a line here. He's got a line there. There's some light shading in here. There's light shading on his forehead. But this area in here is lighter, but in here it starts getting, he's got a very dark shadow under this eye and under this eyelid, this eyebrow. It's very dark in there. And I don't like this area because I have it coming to a point, but it comes to a point here, but it actually goes up a little like that, and not to a point. I don't have that right. And I'm going to erase all these lines again here. So it kind of comes out and then kind of curves back in. And you can see his hairline in there. Maybe not that thick. And you'll see me, this is what I say when I use a pencil. I tend to erase a lot. I tend to say, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. In ink, when I'm sketching with ink, I say, oops, that's how I did it. It's not right. I'll move on. And I have to remember I have to remember to keep his eyelid in there very light. And there's some dimension in there. There's some darkness in here. But there's still that, I don't feel like I have enough space in there yet. I keep moving this out. because and I have moved this out too, and this needs to be adjusted, this whole thing. His coat, let's look at his coat again. His collar comes around this way and it goes up down this way, and comes down this way. I think okay there. I don't like this area here though. It looks like he's got a bump. It looks like he's got a bump there. I don't like that. I think let's refine this. He says, I don't have a bump there, lady. He's got that high cheekbone. It kind of comes down. And see, that does not come out that far. Although it is a high cheekbone in here. Maybe if I shadow this. And yeah, I'll be working with that. That's a little bit better. It's not quite that curve though. All right, I'm going to leave that for now because I've erased and erased on there. Let's go look at his, whoops, I got out of him. Oops, I'm editing him. Let's go look at his nose, or this eye too. This eye is open much wider. Both of these eyes are, this one's a little better, but this eye, I have a lot of wide space in there that is not in this eye. Look how much space I have in there. So let's fix that. It's a little bit more like so, and a little bit more, but it's also smaller when I do that. But this eye is pretty small too. So maybe if I do a little area there and darken this, and I still have this, what, I got that eyebrow, that eyelid in there. And then it's really, you can see the hair and everything in there, the dark eyebrows, and this area is very dark. And he's got, yeah. And let's go over to this eye, and now let's measure, because I'm really going from the end of his white to the corner of his eye. So let's see how I'm doing here. I lost my paper that I was using. So if I go from this point to this point, that should be from this point to this point, and from this point to that point. I've got them pretty good. They don't look good to me, but they're pretty good as far as actually measuring it. And this area here is very dark. I might have made this too bushy in here. And this should be darker in here, and darker down in here. All right, so his nose area comes down. Now let's do the ear. The ear, of course, is lower than the bottom of his eye, so I need to work on that. So the bottom of his eye is there. So I'm just about there. It may need to be a little bit lower. And let me just play with it a little with my pencil. And it kind of comes down like so. Let me get rid of the sketchy sketches. And you can see some shadow. His ear is very defined. You can see this inner part here, and it kind of comes down. And yeah. This area is shadowy in here, and it gets wider, and he's got that little knobby in there, kind of some shadow in there. No. That might be too far down. And it rounds out down here. Right about to there, we're going to say. And I'll come back and work on this area in here a little more. So that is below his nose because his head is turned. Usually when you're doing a head face on, your nose line is even with your ear, bottom of your ear. Because his face is turned, his ear falls, the bottom of his ear almost falls with the top of his lip. And that's a good indicator here. So I could say, let me mark it, I hate using rulers and stuff. I feel like I'm being fakey about it, but I do want to get it halfway decent. So the top of his lip, let me move this back for now. The top of his lip would be, if I make that the bottom of his ear might be a little big. I wonder what would happen if I shorten it a little. Just a little. All of this would have to come out. That's what would happen. But that's okay. The top of his lip would be right in here. And I'm just going to put a little mark there. And then he's got his nose. I'm doing this. Nobody's watching me. I'm just in here talking to myself. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'm liking what I'm doing. I think if I look at my drawing here, I think I'm liking what I'm doing with the eyes here. I erased. Let me catch up with me here. My phone, I moved it over. Oh no, I didn't. Let's move my phone over. And move this one down. And let me expand my photo. All right, now I need my phone to catch up with me. I'm still talking. See, my replay, or as I'm watching myself here, it's always behind what I'm actually doing. Here I'm just moving my phones. Okay, now I can see. So I have the bottom of his ear now coming to here. His nose is higher. And I'm going to move it back here. Or I can. His nose comes, the end of his nose probably comes right to this point of his ear where it starts slanting down. And I have that right there. So the end of his nose comes right about in here, which makes sense. The top of his lips come there, and so that leaves enough room for this little divot in his mouth, underneath of his nose. So, here's where I'm marking it. Sometimes if I just watch as I'm sketching, I do like the idea of having, I've got a phone up there who's recording all of this, and I've got a phone over here to the side off over there where I have this picture up on Wiki. Well, actually, I saved it down into my library, but I got it off of Wiki, and I will put a link to that in my description box. And then I can watch what I'm doing on this phone, and that does help me a lot. That helps me a lot. Now, I don't know if I've captured Charlie here. For one thing, I think this area is too high. And I notice that when I'm doing pet portraits and I'm working on a dog, I say, he hasn't come out yet. You know, I haven't got his personality in there yet. I've kind of got it kind of looking like him, but it's not him yet. All right, there's some darkness coming in here underneath of his eye. Underneath of his eye, he's got a dark eyebrow. And I'm going to go back over this with ink, but I'm just kind of talking through this with my pencil. I'm not a pro at doing portraiture. I want to say that again, because I don't, you know, I could maybe someday be that, but that was never my goal. Yeah. That was never my goal. So I like to talk my way through these things. But I'm not the best at it either. Okay, as I look at this picture now, I can see the swoop of his hair kind of comes off over this way, and that's what makes that, kind of makes it look like Charlie there, doesn't it? And this in here kind of needs to be a little bit more defined. It's a little bit darker in there, and that, when I get to the ink, that will help too. But I can kind of see the swoop of his hair there, and it's kind of in there too, and then it starts going flat again down in here. All right, now back to the nose and the mouth and the ear. Yeah, I'm kind of liking it. So I said his nose kind of ends here, and it kind of ends in a, let's put this down here again and zoom in on his nose. You want to make a line like that, kind of like a line like that, but actually what's happening on his nose is it's dimensional. It comes up, and this area here, if you look at it on the photo, the end of his nostril is almost in the center of his nose. This nostril is a very large nostril, and it really kind of comes in the center of his nose there. So if I have the center here, that nostril kind of comes into there. And it's fairly kind of a flat oval, if you want to call it that, kind of like that. And then it goes up like this, but this is shadow because it's dimensional. and this is all in shadow here. And then you have a white area. It's very, to get that for me, to get this dimension in here is a challenge for me. All right, this other, let's see, this other nostril kind of starts here, but you don't see it as plain. It kind of, this is more defined here. And this kind of falls into shadow too, but it kind of comes like that. And again, his face is dimensional because of all the shading. I put lines there, but really there's no line there. You see, well, you kind of see a little bit of a line, but this dimension happens because of all the shading going on in here. And it's very light, but it also gets dark in here. And then it gets light again. Kind of comes like that. And then this area in here is very dark. But it's even darker up in there. So I'm getting very, very dark here. With a pencil, it's kind of hard. I don't like this line here. I want some shading in there. But I want this to be darker. And there's shading under here, under there, and then he has that divot there. That divot, which is shaded again. And shaded in here, shaded in there, coming down. Now, his lips are very pointy, which I don't see that much in men, but they're very pointy. And the curved part of his lips, and I want to make this nostril a little darker. I might have to go back in. I don't do noses well. I don't do noses well. I wish I was better at them, but it's going to take me some practice. This divot part here is the center of his lip, right in there. And right there. Now, this is all going to affect because he's got a fairly prominent chin, and that might affect all of this that I've done in here. And this, of course, is ink, and I probably should have done the whole thing in pencil. But let me draw his, and if you look, the end of his nostril, almost his lips just come just a little bit beyond the end of his nostril, and he's not frowning, but he's not smiling either. And he has that line in there, and it kind of curves, and his lip kind of comes down. These are about the same height and shape. I don't make this one a little higher. And they've got little lines in there, if you could see close up. And then his bottom lip, of course, is very shady right here, which forms the chin area underneath. And it's light in there, but this is colored. And it kind of gets darker as it goes up this way. A little bit dark in there. I don't have him. He hasn't popped out at me yet. I'm still trying to get Charlie to come out here. Charlie, come on out. All right. Another thing is this nostril here does not meet. His lip comes, so this might be out too far. Let's make it a little, maybe that's why. For right now, because this lip, if you look at the end of this nostril, his lip comes clear down like that. And of course there's shading, and all of this area is in, except for the highlight on his cheek up in here. So, and this part in here is something I really need to work on. I try, and you know, I'm constantly erasing on this. You know, and this might just be a pencil study. I might flip over to another page. Another thing I like to do is come over to my opposite page over here and do another study, like of his eyes and of his nose and of his mouth. And I might leave this in pencil because it's getting kind of late. It's 9:30 here. I don't know, I've been on for how long? I don't know how long I've been on here. Let's see if this tells me. Sometimes I can move this red line up. I've been on for about an hour and 25 minutes, an hour and 24 minutes and 15 seconds. So I might leave this as a pencil study and come over on this side and work on his eyes, work on his nose. I don't think I have him in here. He's a lot older here than I've got him very young over here. And it might just be that I don't have all the shading in with my, because I'm just using a number 2 pencil here. And the more I sketch him, the more I study him, the more I study it, the more I understand the face. And not that way with anybody. That would be that way with anybody, anything. And I do have gradiated drawing pencils. I just don't have them out because I wasn't even going to use a pencil. I was going to use a pen and ink. Let's do the chin area. Now I know this is the bottom of his lip, and he's got some shading under here. I'm right down in here. So his chin is, so this all needs to come down. And this is where maybe I should have done the face first, because let me move this back down. This shirt needs to come way down. I need to, I could white it out. I do have, in one of my boxes here, I don't know if I can get to it. In one of my boxes, I have a Tombow eraser, which does erase ink lines. I'm wondering if I can get to that. I saw it here the other day. Is it this one? It is. Aha! We're going to try that and see if it'll erase some of those lines I made for his shirt, even if it makes it lighter, because he has shading underneath of his neck that can cover up some of these lines. Now this would erase supposed to erase a Tombow marker, which is a permanent ink. Well, it's really a water ink, but I think it can come down here and erase some of this for me. So I want all of this to fall. Let's erase all of this in here, because I'm working on proportion here. I'm working on proportion and composition. I'm not working on perfection. This is just me studying Charlie Kirk. I haven't sketched in a long time. And generally, if I were doing this, I would just leave it. But I kind of want to work on this. And I don't want to scrub too hard on that. I don't want it to, it's okay now. I don't want it to eat through my paper too hard, too much. Alrighty. Let's see if I can get some of this. Of course, the thing I like about this area is it's all dark. It's the white shirt where these lines will matter. And I could go in with an ink or a white pen and white out some as I'm working, and I probably will make that a bright white shirt. But I need to move it down. So it's Saturday night, and I'm doing this as an unlisted live. This, you probably will not see this till late tomorrow or even Monday morning. And I don't plan on working on this again until I feel like it. I don't know when that will be. But now that I've defined where and how I want his face to be, when I'm already going out of shape here, down this way, and I want this much lower. So he's got a neck in here. See, I need more of that erased. It's bothering me here. And when I get to doing the background, all of this will get covered up. So, but I do need, because I want his neck, I'm looking at this area right in here. And so that neck comes down and the shirt comes down into here. So this part will get covered up, but I want those lines a little lighter. So I'm just taking my Tombow eraser, which erases, a Tombow marker, they're water soluble, but they're still ink. All right, let's go back to my pen, or my pencil. So I said that his face comes down this way, and he does have a neckline in here. And so that shirt comes down here. Well, now that's affected this, because we know that this side of his shirt is much higher than this side. So, and it is a little, but not much. So let's move this down. And the advantage of this is when I put in the background, these lines will go away. These lines will go away, and this is me studying. If I did this a lot, I would recognize it right away. But I don't do this a whole lot. I need to do it more often. I need to. And Bernie Sanders. I think that's who I was thinking of. It just hit me. I was thinking of people I could sketch. And I don't only want to sketch conservative people. That's not my goal in doing this. I'm sketching Charlie Kirk because he's been in the news lately, but you know, I'm not sketching him because I'm trying. I do support him, but you know, I support a lot of people. And I've been thinking about what Bernie Sanders said about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And it is one of the times that I agreed with Bernie Sanders. Now, this still has to come down. This is way too high up here. And this has to come down. So I'm still frantically working at it. Because his neck comes down here, which means that this shirt comes there, which comes there, and this coat would come up in there. So, which means that this one would come down into here, which means that this would come in here. And I'm just going to bring it. It does come clear down this way. So that brings all of this falling into the background. And it will. It will as I... Am I on my red dot? I'm not on my red dot over here. Let's get on my red dot. There we go. And it will as I work on it. Where did I put my eraser? Because all of this will go away in here. All of this. And I need a better eraser. I guess this isn't entirely taking out my ink marks, but it's just lightening them a little to remind me that I don't want them there. He's kind of got a... And I could take a white ink and kind of smear that out, or a red. But I think I've got the general composition here. And I'm still not quite half up to where I thought this was, but I feel better about the proportion of it. Yeah, this is all, because this has to come down. This is all out of sync here. Now you can get something like a watercolor ground and maybe put some watercolor ground on here, but I'm not that particular of what I'm doing here. I should have sketched his face first. But this shirt, since I've removed all of this, you know I'm going to get out my white ink here in a minute. Because this kind of bothers me. Let's see. Let's just take this towel and kind of brush this. It's a little sandy. So I think too on here, I've got him looking awfully young. I don't think I've quite captured his age yet. I think his face is a little slender in there. Might need to come out a little bit more. This ear comes down in here. He's got a little bit more. Oh, this hairline though meets the ear and kind of comes up and around. And this is entirely too... His face kind of comes like that. His ear might be a little too slanty in there, in here. I don't... Well, it does slant, but maybe not that much. And as I work with it, and I'm still working with this area doesn't... I'm not completely happy with this area over here too. And you know, his darkening of his beard. Yeah, I'm going to get out my white pen and get rid of some of these marks. Yep. Let's see if I can find one. What did I do with them? Now, I don't know where I put them. Maybe I will and maybe I won't. Here's one. I'm going to get some more of those. Pilot pens. Let's just do this for fun. This will just be a study, but I'm going to mark out these lines with my white if I can. Is it marking? I need something dark. I have a dark piece of paper here. I'm way behind where I want to be. Yeah. It's not really covering those lines too well. Not doing what I thought it would do as far as covering up the lines. I wonder if a white marker, let's try a white Sharpie marker. Make sure I have the cap on that. So here now I'm experimenting with my media. I haven't sketched for a long time a face. Is that yellow or white? I think this is white. And I did buy another set of these black and white because I tend to, and this may have some gray on the tip of it. Boy, I'll tell you, neither one of them are really covering up that ink line. But it does marks on here. You graze it out. This whole area in here. I guess I'll get out the white paint. It's kind of bothering me. See, I'm getting gray on my marker, ink on my marker. Let's get as much of that off as I can. See, it really does good on here, but I'm not seeing it cover my lines the way I want. So, the other thing I'm going to try, white tends to soak in, if you ask me. It kind of covered them, but not to, I don't know if you can see, it's not covering like I want it to. I'm going to try a little bit of white acrylic. And would that be this? Let me reach. And I'm going to work out of my cap. I better stand up and get it or the whole thing will fall. Apple Barrel White craft paint. Shake it up a little. I just want to white this whole area out, and I'll end up putting stuff over this. Let's get the, and I could go in red, but I'm not ready to do that yet. This is kind of me studying him. I might do another one of him. Usually when I do it 2 or 3 times, I get better. Let's put some white on here, cover this up. That's much better. I'll probably have to do another coat and just kind of blend it in. Let's go over this way. Of course, my finger's all messy now, but kind of get rid of the lines in there, just for me. All right, I'm going to quit that. I might, because it's getting late, I might just stop here and come and study him some more, because this video has got to process. I have to stand up to put this away again, and my fingertip is white. I have all sorts of stuff out of place here. What is that? Black embossing powder. Yep. black embossing powder where my white paint should go. And some red, I think. Let me reach in there. I don't use embossing powder that much. I've got stuff in here that on this that I don't need. Put this over here. I got some ink, some blue ink. There we go. So I have lost my picture of Charlie, and I got a white finger. Where's my towel? Put some. Now I wonder how if hand sanitizer would take off these lines. No, I think it just smears them. So I'm not unhappy with him, but I don't think I've captured him yet. He hasn't come out yet. And I'm getting tired. And when you get tired, you start making mistakes, more mistakes. So I'm going to leave it this way for now. And this is all done in pencil, so if I'm unhappy, except for the white paint here, and if I'm unhappy with it, I can come back in. He's okay. It's an okay sketch. Let me put my phone down here. Let me go back into this. But I haven't quite caught him yet. And you're not seeing the whole thing. Let's move the book down a little. Straighten it out, maybe. Waiting for my phone to catch up with me. Yeah. It's not moving. Move. I'm waiting for my phone to catch up with me. I'm not on the red dot. There we go. There we go. So I do think this area here, look how deep set his eyes are here. Look how deep set, and I have his eyebrow entirely too high here. That might make him look younger. And the same way here. His eyebrows are entirely too high. Let's bring these down a little. Down a little darker in there. And this needs to come. This is pretty deep set. It's a little bit higher. Now I still want that eyelid in there, but this can be darker in here. And I think that helped a lot. You know, if I watch what I'm doing here. What else? This area in here, I have it pretty wide, but it may not be quite that wide. And of course, I have it defined in there with the lines when it's probably not. Probably could be more shadow up in there. And his hairline kind of comes in like that and then recedes back. And of course, this is much darker in here. I don't think this curves as much. See, the advantage of doing it in pencil is you can go back in and adjust things. Let's come over here. Make that a little smaller. I'm still not happy with this area of his head. I'm just not quite happy with this yet, which means I probably just need to study it a bit more. It's darker under here. He's got this eyelid. I don't want to lose it, but and yeah. Let's get rid of this. And instead of so many lines, I'm just gonna put in some shading. Some shading on here. Now I'm just playing. He's got a cheekbone in here that really defines his eyes, his eye structure in here. And of course I wanted 2 lines. Yeah. And this ear isn't right either. I'm going to take it out. I know the position of it is right, but I don't like the shape of it. Do a better ear there. Maybe make this hair a little skinnier. Bring that ear in here. So I'm not trying to do a tutorial. I'm trying to show you when I'm sketching how I sketch. And I'm not saying you need to sketch that way. Please find if you have an instructor, helps too. But yeah, the more I work at it, and the more I talk through it and see things that I want to change, the better he gets. The better it gets. This eye definitely comes down more like that. Yeah. This is not right either. So it comes down more like that. He's very dark in here. I've only got a number 2 pencil, but it's very, very dark in here, and his eye here is very, very dark. I could probably darken these a little and make it a little bit more. Just darken it a little bit, but I'm not unhappy with it. It's okay for a study. I wouldn't call this a finished portrait. I don't think I've completely captured him. I say, like I say on my dog portraits, he hasn't showed up yet. He hasn't showed up yet. And of course his neckline is really dark in here. And I think I was bringing that down and I didn't paint that out, because I brought that way down here and I need to paint this out. So this area in here is neckline. And he's got a very prominent chin in here. And then his white shirt. See, all of this needs to be redone in there. I need to paint it out. This is all off, because his white shirt comes down like that. And the collar probably. Yeah. It's all off. But I can shade some of this in. Kind of help define his neck. in here. And I just have a number 2 pencil, so I can't get too dark with it. I think I've helped him a little. He's got his shadow, his 5 o'clock shadow. And I need to work on the ear a little. Charlie, come out. Yeah. This line. I did that with the pen again. Let's put his lips back in. So you can see I'm not ready to quit yet. And then he's got all the shading under his eye. I should quit. I'm not happy with this. It's really more like that. I'm just not quite happy with this area here. But I should quit. I need to get out a darker lead. I need to get out more drawing pencils. I wasn't going to draw in pencil tonight. I wasn't going to draw in pencil. Here I am. Drawing in pencil. I think I've done him some justice, though. Starting to look like him, isn't it? I think it's starting to look like him. Charlie, Charlie, come on out. It is very dark in here. Very dark up in here. Even coming down in there. And of course his hair is very dark, and I've only got a number 2 pencil, and the lead is getting pretty worn here. And it's got that swooping that I can see of his hair kind of comes this way. I think I'm getting him. He said, okay. So I think at this point, well, you know what I could do? I could take this tumble marker and let's define his shirt coming this way and coming down like that, and ignore the button. This shirt kind of comes down this way, and then it has a kind of curves like that, and it kind of comes down like that, and you can kind of see it like that. And then the suit coat, I'm just going to kind of put it in there, and it follows and this is still his white shirt here. See, I had it coming way up there, and it kind of follows around his neck like that, and his suit coat kind of follows down like that. That button moves more down into here, and this is all in shadow. The suit coat follows around his shoulder, kind of comes down like, yeah, like that maybe, and I'm just kind of guessing here, like that, and then his shoulder comes, we're just going to make it move down that way. I don't want to put a lot of darkness in his face yet, because it's really just a study, and I might look at this tomorrow and say, oh, I need to change this. But I do think I'm beginning to get it. I might, the next time I work on it, and I think I will work on this again, I might get out this is a number 2, I might get out a 6 or an 8, which is a softer, darker lead. But I'm going to put study of Charlie Kirk. I'm going to put unfinished study. Unfinished, because I don't feel like I've completely finished him. I think there's more I can do to him. Of Charlie Kirk. But I think just these last few things that I've done in here and in here, I think have improved him. I see something in here that I don't quite like. Right in there. So I'm still working with him, and his lips aren't that defined because I've only got a number 2 pencil. So, you know, I can only do so much. And I'm going to put from reference photo from Wiki. I-K-I, Wiki, I-E, Wiki. No, I think it's just I-W. And today is still 9/13, I think, 2025. And I'm going to sign it. I think I've started to age him a little here, but I think I need a darker pencil. And usually what happens is I'll go away. I get very critical of myself because I am looking at the photo. And, you know, I'm seeing this guy being much younger here. I'm not seeing the shadow in there on here. I'm not seeing a lot of shadow going on in. I've seen it down here. But I think I've got him looking younger on here, which he probably wouldn't mind. But it's just a study. And I might come back tomorrow. I might do another study of him. I'm going to quit because it is, what time is it? Let's turn this off. I'll know. It's 10:02. And, you know, as I look at it in here, it's really not all that bad of him. I'm moving my phone off of the... It's really not too bad. Another mistake I made is I don't have enough space up here, so his head is hitting the edge of the paper. And the ear needs some more work, but I think just by me talking through this, it's helped me a lot. When I sketch him again, I think I'll do much better on him. But the other thing is, like I say, I'll come back. I'll come back and I'll say, oh, it really isn't that bad. I can't do a whole lot with just number 2 pencil. You know, you don't get the you don't get everything you want. I would like to have this be much, much darker. In here. Yeah. And I've worn out my lid. So I want to thank you for watching. If you made it this far, and even if you zipped through and come to the end, thank you for popping through and seeing how I ended it. I'm still not happy with this area. I don't think I've done this area justice. But it's pencil. It's pencil, and I can always erase it. I can always erase it. Maybe it needs to come up a little higher. Because see his eye. And this might need just erasing that. Maybe that needs to be a little bit higher. So I'm going to leave it erased just like that. God quit. So, all right. Well, this is Saturday night. I stream on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Central. If you're reached this far and hear this, you're certainly welcome to pop in. Charlie Kirk. Enjoy heaven. Bye.